Each. Okay. Yo, guys, welcome back to another episode of Drunken Idiots. We had a little bit of technical difficulty, so I am so sorry about the long intro and the just intro in general. Shit happened, but we got a guest here, and he's a fellow
Podcasting.
podcaster
Guy.
podcaster guy. He's a
Podcastery.
he does a show. He does a show. I do a show. Chase does a show. We all do shows. Okay, that's what it is. But now, we got a good. Sorry, stumbled on my words for a little bit. Dutch here. We have from DOA. Digging on America. If you haven't heard of it, you should check it out. Found them on Twitter. But Dutch, I want you to give us a little brief update about yourself and a brief update about your show. And the floor is yours.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on. It's nice to be here. I've seen you guys around in DCP, the retweet group for quite a while. A group full of a lot of people that I really have stopped connecting with. And then you guys reached out, and I'm like, all right, I'll give them a shot. But
Yeah.
I am Jason Dutch. I am one of the co-founders of Dig on America.
Okay.
We are a socio-political history podcast. And if that sounds boring, I have good news. We're actually kind of funny. But we also are very, very heavy-handed. So, there's a lot of shit talking. There's a lot of, this is a swearable environment here, I believe, correct?
Oh, fuck yeah, it is,
Yeah.
dude.
So, there's a lot of fuck bombs, that we drop on Dig on America. We don't take fucking prisoners.
That's good.
We're very outspoken.
That's
So, but one of the fun things about our show is that we do focus on history. We have a saying, which is not our saying, but it's many people have said this. Maya Angelou has said this: if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it, right? So,
Yeah.
and secondly, when you know better, you do better. So I am a former Republican turned progressive Democrat over the years, and most of the other folks on my show are progressives. We're not all the same place on the political spectrum, though. I mean, obviously, there's a spectrum there.
Right.
There are 9 of us within the network. We have a goal very similar to you guys, where we have different people with do different shows on different days.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically we're basically a DAO, which is a decentralized organization where a few of us do different shows on the same platform. They're all somewhat politically tangential.
Right.
But we're just building towards something and trying to be the next CNN, but maybe not CNN because CNN sucks
Young
ass,
Turks.
but maybe like that's a really good,
Young
TYT
Turks.
or something of that nature. We've actually had 4 people from TYT as guests on our show.
Oh wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is
nice.
strong, bro. I love Young
That's
Turks.
strong.
I love
Yeah,
Hassan, bro. I don't know if you know who he is, but he used to be, but I love him.
Hassan Piker.
Yes. He's my dude.
Honestly, I just learned who he was like a week ago because he was on TYT back before when I was a Republican, so I wouldn't have watched it.
Right, yeah.
But which is interesting to say that too, because like people don't watch stuff they don't agree with. But
Yeah, that's true.
But we used to have a lot of debates on with Republicans. We don't do that anymore because we're tired of decapitating them. I am very unforgiving to conservative mindset because I had it though. But let me clarify this though. I am not unforgiving towards conservative individuals. I am conservative towards conservative ideas, right? So people, I don't attack people. I attack bad ideas.
Okay.
And like I am a humanist, Christian humanist basically. So I think that people have value. And there's some shit, you guys probably know this. You can disagree on like tax rate, stuff like that, and it's really not a big deal.
Right.
But stuff like social issues and stuff like that, it gets a little bit more important. But we've been doing this for about 5 years now. We started out as a comic book podcast.
Okay.
And then we ended that in 2021 and started the political podcast. So we're on Twitch, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, and Twitter. One of three of those four every week. We'll switch it up, but always Twitter and always YouTube. You can find us at whatever you're looking for. Just dig on America.
Right.
So youtube.com/dig on America, twitch.tv/dig on America. Everywhere Dig on America is us until we get canceled.
Right. Fair enough. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. See, I actually, when I found you guys, I was like, Dig on America. I was like, okay, this could go either one or two ways. I can click this, and this could be a Trumpican going, America shit, Trump's God, and all
America
that.
first.
America first, and I was like, okay, this is or they're actually exposing everything basically, and I clicked on it, and I was like, oh, they're exposing everything. I like this. They're not just going, oh, I love this person. They're like, no, you guys are shit, and you need to wake the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, and I told you earlier, and our viewers know that we don't talk about politics that much, but we do when we do dabble in it. That I'm very passionate about politics. I'm young. I'm 24. Chase is young. He's 25, and we're just young guys.
He looks like 67. What are you talking about?
Chase, you do. I mean, you look like you grew up in the 60s. You do, with that stash, bro.
Looks like he's been driving a truck for 25 years.
Nah, man, I was flying F-16s back whenever they were.
Oh, and see, now he looks young. It's the hat and glasses costume
It's the hat and glasses. Yeah, it's definitely giving more of the.
There was a very handsome lad behind that. Who would have known?
No. Bro, I'm uglier than shit.
Oh, don't say that, Chase. You're beautiful. You're beautiful, bro. But no,
my mustache is beautiful.
I definitely. It is very beautiful. It is very beautiful. I feel like you wake up and groom it.
No, I don't actually. All I do is wake up and just give her the nice little Etheridge twirl.
Yes, sir.
That's about it.
I do a twirl. I do a twirl with my chin hair, and then.
Well, I've 100% convinced myself, right? Like real talk. This is like minus the hair because I don't have long hair anymore. My hair was getting long.
Mm-hmm.
This is turned from a goose mustache because I used to keep it trimmed like goose to a full-on white earth mustache.
Right.
This is White Earth Tombstone area.
Right. That's
Mustache.
true.
I was just on TV yesterday. I just watched that part of that yesterday.
That's a fantastic movie, man. Kurt Russell is like the GOAT of Western movies, except for Sam Elliott and John Wayne.
Wayne.
But rule number 9: always carry a knife.
Fair enough.
It's not a knife. This is a knife. Crocodile Dundee.
Crocodile
Dundee.
See, but this is where like the progressive guy in me, like John Wayne can kiss my ass as far as I'm concerned, but if people like him.
Hey,
he's a product of his time, but it is what it is.
Yeah, there's a lot of people product of their time for sure. I mean, when like my biggest thing when you go into politics, my biggest thing is like, I guess people count me as socialist or leftist, whatever. I tell people like, really, I just think that in reality, I'm more Democrat than Republican, but Democrats they're fucking old. They have old fucking ways, and a lot of Democrats are not as bad as the Republicans they're fighting against, and literally they'll lock down the fucking government before they will come up with a decision that will help the American people. And it's like, It's like, dude, like, what are you doing? And it's at this point, at this time, it's not just one fucking party's fault anymore. It's both parties, and it's both people pointing blame at one person. And I didn't like Trump as the next person, but we still pointed blame like we did all the other presidents to him of every fucking problem. And that's what they're doing with Biden. That's what they did with Obama. That's what they did with Bush. That's what they did with literally all of them, and it's never like, well, how about we sit down and really figure out the problem instead of just keep on, well, this is his fault, this is his fault, this is his fault, this is his fault. And I'm like, I just wish the old hags would get out of there. You know what I mean? I wish that there would be like some young faces. And that's like,
that's why the Senate shouldn't be any more than 8 years. I mean, Senate, House, Congress, 8 years. That's it. Done. Move the next one. Move the next in and out.
See,
that's just like state officials shouldn't get paid any more than their state's average median salary.
Right.
If their average median salary is $100,000, they should get paid $100,000.
Right.
If their state's
the only caveat with that. The caveat with that though is that like if you are from a poorer area, DC is expensive. So like there's some constitutional issue to be able to get. I would like to see like a dormitory.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, okay. Then 100K a year. You can live comfortably off 100K a year and still make it in DC.
It's for me. It's like, and the funny thing that you said is that you consider yourself, that people might describe you as like a socialist or whatever the case may be. Like, I identify as a progressive Democrat. Mm. But here's the weird part, right?
Right.
Like, I don't wake up in the morning, and I've said this before on our show, and I've said this in Twitter Spaces. I do not wake up in the morning and say, "Oh, I'm Jason, radical leftist." No, I don't do that.
Right, yeah.
I wake up in the morning and I say, I'm Jason. I'm a dad. And I'm a somewhat Christian humanist.
Right.
I'm not a big fan of religion per se, but but nonetheless, but what I do is I say, okay, I look at the political spectrum and I say, all right, well, I believe that people should have health care.
Yeah.
Single payer, universal health care, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of names for that.
Right.
Pick a name. Similar to what they have in Japan, that sort of thing. So I believe we should have universal health care.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that we should have a living wage.
Oh, yeah.
I believe we should concentrate on migrating over to green technology in a respectable time. I believe people should have equal rights to be able to vote. And I believe we should have no money in fucking politics whatsoever. Now, I also have one other belief, and this is the one that makes me a radical. I believe we should elect people to office who are actually going to do those things that I said and not continue to push them down the road.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And when you take those values and you put them on the political spectrum that is in the United States today, with all the Overton windows being the way that they are.
Right.
If you look up, it says above that, this is where progressive Democrats sleep.
Right.
So I guess that's what I am.
Right.
But I'm not a progressive Democrat because it sounds cool.
Right.
I'm a progressive Democrat because I believe in certain things. But on the other hand, I'm a gun owner.
Right.
I believe in the death penalty. So, it's not every single view that I have is...
You believe in human right without justification through government. You believe in human rights, that everyone is created equally, deserves equally, and that the government is there to simply help if assistance is absolutely to the bottom line needed.
Well, see, that's what for me, I think this is where my radicalism comes in. I think the government shouldn't be the if we need help really bad. I think the government we should be working. Say you have your 9 to 5, right? But also we should still be seeing more money than we do in our taxes. Like, I think we all should get an extra $1,000 from the government a month. And the reason why is because our taxes.
UBI?
Yeah, exactly. And and the reason why I think of this is because I didn't get taxes back last year, like at all whatsoever. Where did my fucking work go? Right to the fucking government. And so, but if just a percentage of that was to take out, to put to the American people, that would help out more than people think. Like, it wouldn't be a free ride on the government. Yeah, some people might take advantage of it. Oh, fucking well. People take advantage of things all the time. You can't help that. You can't stop that. But for the people that are working hard Americans that are just trying to get by, that only make $50K to $100K a year. $100K a year, you could survive off that in certain places in America. Certain places, not all. But still, with the economy going up and up and up, it's getting worse and worse and worse. So if you're making only $50K less a year, that $1,000 extra a month is going to pay for your rent, and then whatever you don't have to, now you don't have to pay that rent no more. Now you can pay your bills without, and then after you pay your bills, man, I worked really hard, so I want to go have a nice drink without, and I don't have to worry about my wallet. I don't have to worry about my bank account. I don't have to worry about that because we actually have a government that cares about us. That's my radicalism when it comes out, is that I think that the government is not there for just, it shouldn't be there for just show. It should be there to help us, like actually help us as the American people and everyday society, because we can't even go to fucking schools anymore without being worried about getting shot. You know what I mean? We can't go to festivals and all, and then all we get is the fucking hack of bullshit. Thoughts and fucking prayers. I'm tired of hearing that shit. I'm tired of it. I'm not saying all guns are bad. I'm not saying any of that, because I believe in the Second Amendment 100%, hands down. I believe in that because the government could fuck us over one day. But there should be regulations where I should not be able to go on armslist.com and order a gun to my house, but I can't get free healthcare. But I can't get government housing unless I'm dirt broke poor.
Easier to get an AR-15 than it is to get a bullet from an AR-15 removed from your body.
Exactly.
You know, that's the sad part, right? Like I've fired an AR-15 before. They're fucking a blast to shoot at the range.
Right.
You know, but like my house is not being attacked by ninjas. I'm not Bruce Willis in Die Hard.
Right.
You know, and anyone who thinks that they are is fucking insane. Like people will look at Ukraine and what's going on right there right now and how important the government was literally giving people guns. But who's going to invade us? Mexico or Canada? Like we have this buffer of water around us, which is a really, really important insulatory tool. And it's been part of what's helped this country grow, other than the theft of land and stuff like that we've engaged in. But we're not going to be able to change anything in this country until we change the money in politics piece. Like that's really the first thing, because almost none of our congressmen, probably have about 7 or 8 people in Congress and kind of one in the Senate,
right,
who don't take corporate money.
And that's insane. Yeah.
And who is my congressman? I'm in Bakersfield. I'm very, very bright red.
Right.
Bakersfield. Kevin McCarthy is my congressman.
I'm in Kentucky, so
you got Moscow Mitch.
Fucking, I got turtle looking ass Mitch, literally fingers about to fall off, toes about to fall off, all kind of
But like if you like, this is one of the problems that the Democrats have with Joe Manchin, is like Joe Manchin is beholden to his donors in coal and pipeline.
Right.
You know, so he's not going to pass anything, like even the healthcare and infrastructure bill that went through, they gave him all of the credit for.
Right.
There was a piece in there for his boys. Right. So that's why he did it. If he hadn't done it, if he hadn't gotten that, he wasn't going to sign on that bill.
Right. Exactly.
He is not a hero.
No, he's not. And that's the thing. I'm tired of hearing. I'm sick of it. I get to the point where I get angry about it. I hate hearing, "Oh, did you hear? You know, the Democrats did something good, or the Republicans did something good," and then it's like, read this in line. Hold on. Why did they do that? Oh, to make their pockets bigger. And guess what? That did nothing for us. Like, here's one thing that people don't like when I say this, because I guess you could say, "Oh, you complain too much. You're a radicalist." The fucking $10,000 they gave for fucking student loan shit, that is bullshit, spit in the face, hack of bullshit. Bro, yes, 10 grand. If your student debt was 20 grand, now you only have to pay 10 grand. If your student debt was 30 grand, now you only got to pay 20 grand, right? But say your student debt, like a lot of Americans, is $200,000+. That 10 grand was literally $1 to them. You know what I mean? That's it. And
mine's 52.
Exactly. See, and but we were like, oh yeah, this is great, but no, we should. Yes. There at least there was some light to it. There's someone that actually said, did some kind of relief. But if 10 grand is all you can fork up, then what's the hope of us ever actually getting what we want? You know what I mean? Like, 10 grand is nothing to you guys. Like, Nancy Pelosi, bro, like, dude, she is an old hag that's making fucking millions of dollars. And yet we get a pity change from that. Just pity. You know what I mean? Just little nickel and dime it. And that's where what pisses me off about the whole gift of, politics and government. Their money, their pockets get bigger, our pockets get smaller.
Right.
And you are never really prepared for it, especially as me being young and being into this sport. Like, I've been on my own for 5 years now, but more and more every day, it pisses me off that I was not ready. I was told I didn't go to college, but I was thinking about going to college for the military. If you went to college for the military, you're set. You're good. Now I'm so happy I didn't do either of them, because everyone is either coming out of the military, and after they come out of the military, they either get fucked by the military, or they get, they keep their pension, they keep their health care, this stuff like that, but they either have trauma, you have trauma, or you have some kind of PTSD, some kind of depression, something of that came from where you were at to where you're at now in your life, and you'll not be normal. And it's sad because you won't be normal, because you were told if you did this what makes you an American. This is what makes you a badass. And that's just not true. You know what I mean? That's just not true. In my opinion, it's not. What makes you a badass is fighting for this right here on this land that we're on right now, to our government. You know what I mean? We're not being like, if now, I'm not saying the military's bad whatsoever at all, because I have a lot of friends in the military and I respect them a lot. Chase is one of them. I respect them a lot. And, I'm not saying you're stupid for joining. I'm just saying that there was a lot of bamboozling happening for you, in my eyes, for a lot of people to join, because, you hear free healthcare, free college. You hear the 401k that you get. You hear the amount, $50K plus a year, et cetera, et cetera. It sounds fucking great to me when I was a teenager. It sounded great. You know what I mean? It's college sound great. As soon as I get older, I'm like, dude, 40K a year ain't shit. 50K a year ain't shit. You're poor still. You know what I mean? It's like, you should be able to go to the military.
Yeah, but it's a different type of poor, though, because you have to understand, if you're, for instance, if you're single,
yeah,
you don't have to pay for housing, you don't have to pay for food, you don't have to pay for a gym,
right.
You don't have to pay for healthcare, you don't have to pay for any of that. So yeah, you may only be making 30K a year in the Army, but that is 30K a year in your back pocket that you don't have to spend if you don't want to.
Right. Well, I'm saying after when you leave, not when you're active.
But here's the thing. If you go in, you have the capability of free college, right? And that's one of the biggest topics that I hear about nowadays. Not prior to whenever I went in, right?
Right.
You do a standard 3-year contract, right?
Right.
Now, granted, you're only going to be able to do part-time college, so you'll actually only get an associate's degree every 4 to 6 years in the Army, right?
So you got to be in the military for a while.
But now here's the kicker, right? Here's the kicker. You get out of the military, you either get your post 9/11 GI Bill or you get your Montgomery GI Bill.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't plan on making a career out of it, your standard GI Bill is what you really want, because it's practically guaranteed 50 grand plus E5 pay while you're living in the dorms.
Which is good.
I mean, and E5 is making $3,000 a year.
Right.
I mean, and that is until you are done with college.
Right.
So I mean, the thing is, I understand what you're saying, but you take, let's see, average American spends probably about anywhere about $20,000 a year when it comes to housing, electricity, etc. Right?
Right.
So you deduct that 20,000, you know, yeah, if they were taking 20 grand out of your pay in the military
Mm-hmm.
a year, then yeah, you wouldn't make dick. You'd make $10,000 a year.
Right. Exactly.
But they don't.
Yeah.
So I mean, the thing is going into the army for 3 to 6 years isn't bad, and it doesn't mean you can't have your college completely paid through. So I mean, it is a good thing if you plan on doing the college route.
Right.
And then on top of that, it gives you structure.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you a chance to be able to do something without your parents having to pay for you, Jordan.
Oh.
It allows financial relief off of your parents because your parents don't have to worry about putting you through college, getting your textbooks,
Right.
getting this, getting that.
Right.
I mean,
makes sense.
It financially stabilizes you. It gives you a sense of, hey, look, I'm in the army. I'm going to college. This is why I joined the army. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some other shit. Every MOS is not a combat MOS.
Right.
The chances of a lot of MOSs seeing combat are actually very, very, very slim, unless you're infantry, a combat engineer, a tanker, a Cav Scout, or EOD.
Right.
Because that's just the type of wars we're in now.
Yeah, and
that's true. The problem that we generally have on the left with the military is not the military. It's the military. There's two issues. One, the military is a structure, because of there's a lot of history of assaults and stuff like that within the ranks of the military that we, historically speaking, that we need to, especially when it comes to female enlistees that were kind of swept under the rug. But that's not really a military problem. That's an America problem, and the military is part of America, right? So when people unfairly characterize that as part of the military, I think that is unfair because it's not just the military that happens in, at IBM.
Right.
Right.
It's just that in the case of the military, it's not IBM sweeping it under the rug, it's the government sweeping it under the rug. So you have to kind of say, hey, that one I can control, right? Like I can't run for the board of IBM, but I can run for Congress. So and then the other thing is the way that we take care of our combat vets from Vietnam, from Korea, and from the first Gulf War, that has been atrocious.
Yeah, it has. That has been
100%.
So those are the things that our disabled veterans are in dire straits. A lot of them are homeless, and the government really has just kind of ignored them. And then the thing I didn't mention, but I should, and I know this triggers people sometimes, is especially after World War II, African American soldiers were not allowed to wear their uniform. They had risk of being lynched for being in their uniform, right? They were denied the housing, they were denied the GI Bills, they were denied all of the benefits of going to the military at about a 92% clip. So we just want to shine a light on that and say, look, these things are not, this has nothing to do with disrespecting the troops, right? Because people will pull Kaepernick on us and they'll say, oh, you hate the military. It's got nothing to do with our veterans. It has to do with the system.
Yeah.
And the system is the same system that won't give us health care. Just think about that. The same system that won't give us health care is the same system that's taking care of our troops, supposedly, right?
Right.
So, Of course they're going to fuck it up. And I think most people on the where I'm at on the political spectrum, we have a lot of libertarian ideals that fall within it, like especially when it comes to like our rights, our First Amendment rights, and our rights to basically do as we wish within the day to day, not have to be under constant government surveillance and stuff like that. We kind of see eye to eye with the right on that. I think the difference is that we realize that the government's been doing this for a long time to a lot of groups of people, and now that it's happening to white people also, then now they're triggered. But Before that, they didn't really say anything about it when it was
Right.
when they were surveilling Muslims. And last I checked, Muslim Americans, you hear the Muslim part, I hear the American part, right? That doesn't mean I agree with them on their religion. I think there's a lot of issues within Islam. There's just like there's a lot of issues within Christianity, Judaism, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Even Shinto and religions like that have issues. So that's really the thing, is like, we're not trying to destroy religion. We just but we need to take that influence of religion out of the political sphere.
Oh
because,
yeah.
Yes.
you can't have. Yeah, look what's happening in Iran right now.
Yeah.
And then they want people who are every bit as fundamental in the evangelical wing. This new thing. I was born an evangelical Christian. This is not what I was born with, at least not on the surface.
Right.
Then it wasn't. At least then it was more covert, if it existed. This is some crazy shit now.
Yeah.
This war on CRT and transgenderism and stuff like that. Like, whatever happened to All Lives Matter? I could have sworn they said this to me.
Yeah.
But apparently
Well,
not.
well, that's why I agree with. I think I correct me if I'm wrong, because you're the historian here. I'm not. I'll have to brush up on my statements and everything. But one of the founding fathers said that you should never mix the church and state.
Yeah.
Jefferson.
And it's Jefferson. Okay, thank you. I was thinking Jefferson, but I couldn't remember, and I didn't want to call it out. But he's right. I mean, you don't mix politics and religion. Doesn't matter what religion you're in. You don't mix the two. That's the whole reason that they left. Like, one of the whole reasons that they didn't want to go back to England.
Exactly. Yep.
I mean, that is one of the whole reasons they did not want to go back to England. And that's one of the reasons, and you'll probably, if you watch a couple of shows back, me and Jordan, most people, like he said, people look at him, they think of him as a hardcore leftist, right? But he's not. Just like me, most people hear me talk and see me, I'm a hardcore rightist, but I'm not. I'm a constitutionalist. I believe in the Constitution. I believe that if you want things to change, fantastic. 75% of the population has to go by popular vote in order to make an amendment to the Constitution. If 75% of Americans can agree and vote on the same issue to change it, then it can be changed.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, I don't care about left or right. I really don't. But if you want something changed so bad, change it. You can change it. It's been amended 27 times.
Right. Right.
I mean,
yeah, but here's where I'm going to counterpunch you, brother. Because just put it this way: you were in the military, so we fought a lot of proxy wars, right?
yes,
So
100%.
we have propped up democracies in countless countries in Latin America, the Middle East, everywhere, and we attempt to prop up democracies all over the place that are, quote, America friendly. In fact, that's the reason why Venezuela's failed. It has nothing to do with socialism. It has to do with our interfering with them and accentuated by their bad leadership, which is socialist.
I 100% agree with you.
But when you look at that, when you look at all these democracies we've propped up, and how many of those have we tried to implement the Electoral College? Zero. And there's a reason for that, because it's fucking stupid.
And you shouldn't have it.
And our constitutional ratification is very similar to that in the bar that it has to pass, because they use the same numbers, right? So if you have 27 states that are, quote, Republican leaning states, regardless of their size, you still can't get anything passed from really either way, constitutionally speaking. Because the odds, we can't even get the Equal Rights Amendment passed that gives women codified equal rights.
Right. I mean,
yeah. You would think that would be an easy one, but it only got 20. It was 30 something states, and you need 36, I think, or 34, 36 states.
But
67, 2/3.
But a constitutional, I'm pretty sure constitutional amendment don't go by Electoral College.
Oh, it doesn't go by the Electoral College, but the numbers that they divide it up by basically are the same, because you have the so the idea is the same as what I'm saying. If you have a Republican state, they get that whole state, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if let's say that Alabama goes to the Republican in the next election by 1 vote, that means all of the 49.9% of people who voted for the other person literally have their vote taken away from them, because they're essentially voting for the Republican. Similarly speaking, when you're ratifying an amendment, if your state has a legislature that is set up that is one person to, has a majority of one on X side of the aisle,
right?
That whole state votes to ratify or not ratify, despite the fact that there is a percentage of people within that state that will support it. The idea is the same. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It does. I mean, it
real
does.
quick. I don't want to cut you guys off, but let's take a drink real quick. It's been too long. Cheers, boys.
I only have drips left. I got to get another one.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah.
I got about 12 minutes with you guys, so I'm gonna chug my next beer. I can still hear you.
Okay. All right. Well, since he has 12 minutes left, Chase, you can finish. We're saying we'll wrap up this conversation, and then.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, my biggest thing was, I mean, it's just that people need to stop going. People need to start understanding that, the founding fathers, we're not idiots,
Right.
And the thing is, I know a lot of people, and I won't point fingers at any political party, because it's even on, it's left, right, everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Right. Personally. Yeah. But, and I don't know if you heard that, but what I was saying is, I think people need to stop considering the fact that the founding fathers were idiots.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of it, though, when people consider founding fathers idiots, I see when you say that to me, as me, I like history. I love history, right? History is one of my favorite subjects, because we are always doomed to repeat it, because, I mean, we've been repeating history since 2020. I mean, really, we've always been repeating history, but really hardcore repeating history since 2020, of when all the protests were happening, and it was all coming into light of nothing's really changed since Jim Crow laws. Like, yeah, they changed Jim Crow laws, but before then, the KKK was literally allowed to hunt down black people, right? So when you talk about the founding fathers, I don't think they're idiots. I don't think they're idiots, but I do think that there were some that thought of the future, and then some that thought of right then and there. And, the ones that say, quote unquote, idiots were the ones that were, committing mass genocide against Native Americans, indigenous people. Those were the idiots. That's how I would say, when you say idiots, that's who I think of idiots. But
we're going by strictly constitutional purpose right now.
But when you talk about but when you talk about the Constitution, I think the people that were like the First Amendment, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, those were the ones that were thinking, okay, future. They were thinking, okay, well, this would help. This is going to help us throughout all these years, where we can just say, and we can take the government away, take our government and go hand to hand with them, like we just did with our government. That's how we made America. And then when you go to the Second Amendment, they were thinking right then and there, I think, because they weren't and this is how with the Second Amendment, this is where I have the problem with. Like, I think they were thinking right then and there. They were thinking right to bear arms, because what if we have another situation of what we just went through, right? They were like, all right, so we should be able to carry hunting rifles, handguns, and stuff like that. But they weren't thinking in the 21st century, well, of course, before the 21st century, but say 21st century, where there was semi-automatics being given, young 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds having these and hearing them on the news all the time. So that's when I think.
But we did it during the Civil War.
that's what I think. That's where I think where when they were making the Constitution, when they were just making just those two amendments are a good for me are good hot topics because with especially the Second Amendment, I don't think they were thinking, oh, we were gonna have all these mass destruction weapons. They were just thinking these are gonna be hunting rifles are always gonna be around, handguns are always gonna be around. They weren't thinking about us upgrading. So I think that's where the thin line of when I say idiots, I wouldn't say idiots, but they just weren't thinking outside of the box of what could happen with firearms in the future.
The whole point of the whole point and idea of the Second Amendment is to be able to protect the First Amendment from any enemy, foreign or domestic.
Right? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't agree with that.
You don't agree with that?
Respect. No, I think when you look at the Constitution, the Second Amendment, I see. There's the problem is that there's very few Federalist Papers on the Second Amendment. You have really one. About I think it's called About the Militia, which is very anti the ideas that people would traditionally associate with the Second Amendment.
Right.
I'm not a constitutional scholar, so I don't memorize everything, but I want to say it's Article 2, Section 8, where they talk about Congress being responsible for setting up a navy, right?
Right.
And then they say you can set up an army, but only for 2 years, as far as funding it goes. And then they talk about the ability for Congress to have an element of control over those entities. And then they bring up the militias there. And militias, though, are technically under the states. And as we know, by the 10th Amendment, which the 10th Amendment made clear, is that any powers not explicitly implied within the Constitution are relegated to the states, which is a huge issue. I mean, certain things, sure, speed limits and whatever, that's one thing. But without going down a rabbit hole, the Second Amendment is kind of there. If you read through that, I forget if it's Article 1, Section 8 or 2, Section 8.
I'll read through it again.
But if you read that section when it starting with Congress shall, set up a navy and then an army for 2 years, and then you read the rest of Section 8 from that point, and then you read the next time it talks about any of that stuff at all. Mm-hmm. Is in the Second Amendment. So it's sort of like there's a straight line from there to there. And they had not codified within the original document of the Constitution who was going to fund the militias, right? Who was going to regulate the militias? Because it talked a lot in Section 8 about the regulation of the militia, but it didn't give you any means to that end. So the government was not going to give people guns, but they basically said, in order for a state, the way that I read it at least, is in order for a state to maintain that well-regulated militia that the Constitution, Article 1, Section 8 talked about, have to be able to let people carry guns, because it's too slow for the government to come and hand guns out to people as they walk by. You see, like they have in the movies where everybody's marching down and you got the guy handing everybody the gun. Yeah. You didn't have that sort of supply chain back then, right? So they basically said, okay, keep that shits in your house, so that the state can then regulate that, have that well-regulated militia.
Right.
So I don't really, hunting was never mentioned in the Constitution. Now I'm not against hunting or anything like that. Right. But like, I realize there's sportsmen and stuff like that. And that's fine. I have no problem with that stuff.
Hey, I'll be the first one to say I'm a vegetarian and proud of it. Fuck hunting.
But I eat a lot of meat, brother. So I guess I'm not as crazy, or crazy liberal, but the, and again, I'm a gun owner, right? I'm a gun owner. I have 3 guns. So, but I own guns, not because I'm afraid of tyrannical government. I'm worried about my neighbor.
Yeah. No,
Right?
yeah.
So
yeah.
like that's why I own a gun. I own a few guns,
And
like,
I can relate
I also,
to that. Yep. I can relate to that
I
because
do-
like the first time I even thought about getting a gun was my neighbor in an apartment was tweaking out of their mind and literally tried to kick down my door. And when after that happened, I was like, nah, no more.
I
I
agree with you. I mean, I agree with it with you to an extent. I don't own guns just for tyrannical government, and maybe I didn't explain that properly. On my side, like for instance, me, I own guns because it's an equalization of playing field in my everyday life.
right.
Guns are everywhere.
Right.
Guns are everywhere.
They
100%
are.
everywhere. Right. And my thing is I do believe our gun laws do need to change. I'm 100% with that. I
Oh,
believe you should have to take psych evaluations. I believe you should have to take a yearly
I agree.
psychological evaluation.
you surprised me there. You surprised me there.
Well, think about it. And this is a good example. This is a very firm and solid example, and I'll make this very quick. You have an 18-year-old, right? He can legally buy a weapon. He
Right.
goes and buys a hunting rifle, right? Or he goes and buys, an AR, or he goes and buys a shotgun, right? You can't buy pistols at 18. You have to be 21, and that's federal law.
Right.
Well, then he joins the army. He joins the army, gets married, blah blah blah. Ends up deployed a couple times, right?
Right.
He comes back. He still owns that firearm, but now he's a little bit fucked up in the dome, right?
Yeah.
I've seen it before.
Yeah.
At that point in time, until he is, better to a point of being able to pass through a psychological evaluation, he should not be able to have that gun until he can,
Right.
psychologically be conscious for himself.
Oh yeah, and see.
I totally agree with that. And let me add on that real quick.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a coach.
Mm-hmm.
I had to do more background for coaching a kid's basketball team than I did to own a gun. There was a time a couple years ago, my wife and I went through some shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a pretty solidly a guy with a pretty solid mind. You would say stable guy. I had a gun in the other room, and I was in a deep bad place, and I had
Right.
serious thoughts of grabbing that gun and ending my own life, right? So thankfully I didn't do that. Thankfully I never went that far. But there are people, if there was no gun there for me to have that thought, to act on that thought, it's basically a pipe dream. The odds that I'm going to slip my wrists are a lot lower than than I'm just going like this, because it takes a lot more to do that. So like people lose their job, they get road rage, all this types of stuff, and the person that you are today is not necessarily going to be in the same mental place as you are going to be in 2 years from now, or 8 years from now, or 2 years ago.
Even a week
go
from
through
now.
experience.
Right.
Right. And that's why I say I think a yearly psychological evaluation.
You're more than me. I think like every 3 years.
See, and
no,
I agree.
every single year.
I agree with Chase 100%. Like, I think every year you should have to do it like a driver's license. Of course, I know you have to wait like 3 or 4 years. I don't know, but it should be like when you your tags. Every time you go and get your tags renewed, you go get a psych eval for a gun. That would be a great example. You have to get your tags renewed, stuff like that. But I think that for me, when I think of like guns though, like when I think of like the regulations, the whole gift of us being able to have guns, dude, go get your Glock. If you are in the right mindset of it, go get your hunting rifle. If you're in the right mindset of it, you know what I mean? Because even if you're just using it for hunting, at any point in time, your buddy right beside you pisses you off, you can pow, done, over. It's it. That's it. And but with me, when I sit there and think about it, what pisses me off about guns, the main thing that pisses me off, and I will fight tooth and nail about this all day, every day.
Okay.
You can go to armslist.com and get a gun that is not built, and this is the rights argument with this. It's not built, you have to build it and all that stuff. So what? You could still get a semi-automatic rifle sent to you with no background, with nothing. All you got to do is put your address in, you got to put your card in, and in the whole 9 yards, you have this like little. When I say mount no background, I don't mean quite literally. I mean as in. I
was gonna say, I don't think it's quite that easy.
No, yeah, I don't mean that quite literally, but I mean that it takes longer for me to get a background check to a job than it does arms list. So
actually, not anymore.
So that right there of just arms list, even if they took the right regulations, arms list, ordering a gun online in general, should not be allowed. You should still, if you want a gun that bad, you should be able to get your happy ass off that couch and go into face to the person that is selling that gun, give them your driver's license, and then they tell you we'll tell you when your background check is back. Because face contact is a lot. If you come up into a gun store, man, I need a gun. Man, I need a gun like today. I need this right here. This is what I want, right? They're gonna be like, whoa, you're acting a little sketchy. But you can always do this and be like, man, I need a gun. What's on arms list today? Is there a new sale going on today? I need a fucking gun today. I'm tired of these fucking bitches talking shit about me. I'm done. So you click that button.
But
guess
what?
I can make by
that go,
7 business days. By 7 business days, you got your gun.
I can make that go away in one law, literally one law that can be passed statewide.
Oh yeah, I could think of many of laws that can do that, but one law,
just one. If you're going to order your weapon online, okay? Because the thing is we are going to a full digital society. It's happening. No one can stop it.
I'm with you on this.
Here's the thing. Though. If you order it online, that gun or rifle or build must be sent to your local sheriff or police department, and you should have to pick it up from there.
Okay, I can.
And I'll tell you what. I think that we missed the mark here on the gun issue. Guns by themselves are not always the issue. Again, I think this goes back to healthcare, right? Like we cannot get a nationalized healthcare plan in this country. So how are people supposed to even get behavioral health that they need when they can't afford to go and see a fucking psychiatrist, even if they want to, because they can't afford to do it without taking time off of their work and jeopardizing their employment. And it's a fucking problem with this country. Once we get healthcare in, you will see an immediate change to the gun the issue. It won't be all the way, but it'll be a piece of it. And the other piece is because we know that they don't have guns in Japan. So, I mean, well, let me put it this way. We know that it's a gun ownership problem to a degree because people will blame video games and stuff like that, but they have the same video games in Japan. That's where I was trying to go, but they don't have mass shootings all the time, right?
Exactly.
So, but because people own so many guns. But the problem that we have that is ancillary to the healthcare problem is we have a gun culture problem because almost every mass shooter to the last person is a man.
No, yeah. And most, yeah.
When you are putting a Facebook profile picture up of yourself holding a gun, you are saying, come get it. You are saying, I will kill you if necessary.
Yeah.
I don't care if you are doing it in front of a Christmas tree with a Bible in your hand.
But here's the problem with that.
Gun culture is the issue, not the guns.
But here's also a problem with that, right? And this is something that we won't take to a political sense. I see that as a people not being properly taught about weapons. For instance, point in case, and I'll use myself as an example. I have been shooting weapons since I was 5 years old. My first rifle was a .22. Kicker, though. And this is a kicker.
I had a Sweet 16 for my first gun.
So here's the kicker. My grandfather made me take that .22 apart and learn everything about that rifle for 1 year before he would even let me put a bullet through it. But
Yeah.
because I learned about it at such a young age, I knew what it could do.
Right.
I also knew how to make sure that I was safe with it.
Right.
I also knew that unless I was actually about to put a bullet in something, don't point it at someone.
Right. Yeah.
So that's why I say it goes into a people problem, and I do agree with you. I think it comes down to the mental health problem too, because people can't actually seek help without, repercussions, and that's not right.
And I agree with you, Chase, too, because like
And-
gun safety is a big thing, and I'll put like an example. I grew up with guns my whole life. My step grandpa, he hunted. I hunted when I was a kid. I bow hunted. I did like I used to love going out and doing that shit, and then now I don't. But when I was younger, I was preached gun safety, right? I knew what gun safety was. But I can say that I agree because I had my mom's boyfriend and her and my brother, they have ARs, they have shotguns, they have Glocks, they have
Mhm.
I mean they have like it's not say it's not it's not illegal. Let's just say it that way, okay? And I don't like the way they have guns. But beyond that, I've seen kid you not, I've seen her boyfriend shoot the AR, pop, 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 whatever, right? And then literally after, which I don't know if the chamber was empty, and I don't know if he knew the chamber was empty, but even if it was or not, because I don't think you should point a gun at anyone, even if the chamber's empty, in my opinion, at all.
Well, no, you always treat a weapon like it's loaded.
Exactly. Always. When he was done, this is one of those things that that impacted my life, where I think of this stuff when I think about guns. When he was done, my brother was standing beside him, and he brung the gun this way, and my brother was right there, and it was literally like the barrel was pointing at my brother, and I'm like, bro, what? I literally jumped on that. I was like, bro, what the fuck? What are you doing? Like,
so let me
let me ask you. So gun safety needs to be taught so hard.
Well, let me ask you a question, just because I'm curious to know your answer, and I want you to tune in too. Do you have a problem with the guns, or do you have a problem with AR-15 platform builds? And answer honestly.
I'd say I have more of a problem with AR-15 builds. Like, I have more problem with semi-automatics. Me personally.
Okay.
An AR-15 is a pretty powerful gun, but it's not the most powerful gun that you can get.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
There's more powerful stuff that you can get than an AR-15. But the issue that I have, I don't really have so much of a problem with an AR-15, as I do with the clip.
Right.
So I have a problem with the magazines. Like, I have a 22 caliber rifle, a Ruger semi-automatic rifle, and I bought it, oddly enough, and I honestly, dudes, I got to roll. Like, after I make this statement, I'm super sorry.
Oh, you're good.
I'd love to come back and we'll talk about this some more, but I have to get on my own stream. But I bought a 22 on purpose because, like, if some 21-year-old kid who's down on his luck breaks into my house, I do not want to kill him. I don't get any pleasure out of killing him. And like, when I went to buy that, the guy looked at me and he said, well, that's not going to take anybody down. Exactly. That's the one that I want. Thank you. Because I'm ready. I'm good with, and well, yeah, I know, and a 22 will bounce around inside of you like a fucking ping pong ball. But the guy literally told me that. He told me when my wife went to get a 380 too, he said the same thing. He's like, you're a small woman. You want to get a 9mm because you want to take that person down. Now, this was this one guy. I'm not painting every gun shop as that same guy, right?
Right.
I'm just saying there's anecdotally, it seems that might be a thing because I was there 2 times and I heard it twice. But the clip that I have with my 22 is 10.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like, I'm more comfortable with that, even though 10 is still 10, but I'm way more comfortable with that than I am with 32 or 40.
Oh,
you know what I mean? It's like, and that's the thing where I draw the line. But Again, that's my personal thought.
Right.
Is it because it makes it a weapon of war?
With what he
for the
was
most
saying,
part, I mean,
yeah.
what other? It's not a weapon of sport at that point.
Yeah.
Fun fact. If we're gonna go into that, and I'll make this very quick because I know you got to go, and me and Jordan, we can talk about this later if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact: if you're gonna name it a weapon of war because it has 30 rounds, the 1911 platform holds 7 bullets in one in the chamber and has put down more bodies in wartime than any AR-15 or M4 build ever has.
Right, but
is that because of quantity of bullets fired, and massive bodies out there to shoot at, or is it because of the potential of the weapon? Like, if I were to take that particular weapon into a school compared to you bringing it in the AR-15, which of us could take out the most people?
That's true. You got a good point there.
Actually, you do make a point, but here's flip side. A 45 caliber, which is what the 1911 is chambered in, has more bullet velocity, more bullet velocity, and has more knockdown power than a 5.56, which is a 2.23, by the way, a very small hunting round. Any day of the week. Right. A 5.56 round will put a hole in you about this big around, right about the size of a dime, and it'll come out about the size of a quarter.
A 45 will not.
A 45 will go in about the size of a quarter, and it will come out the size of a fucking cantaloupe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm with you on that. That's why I said an AR-15, full disclosure, not the most powerful gun out there.
Right.
Well, it's powerful, but it's not like.
That's where I go into. You can't call that a weapon of war because it's magazine fed and holds 30 rounds.
Yeah, but I don't classify a weapon of war as how dead you are, how fast. Oh, well, this guy died in 1 second. This guy died in 17. That's not the barometer that I'm personally using. But hey, guys,
I get what you mean.
I got to get on stream with Lindsay. I'm actually a little bit late, but I like talking with you guys.
Hey,
I'd love to come back again and do this. And you guys are definitely welcome over there on Dig on America. I'll have you guys on. For
I would say I would love to be
interested.
I would love to be on a Dig in America for sure. And
100%.
I'll get you guys on the Wednesday show. One of these weeks upcoming. We'll have some fun.
Hey, you'll be the first show that I've ever been invited to, so I would love to because I've always.
And next time we don't have to talk politics. We can talk about drinking. So I'll chug this for you guys as I go.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, cheers. Pleasure. This was a great conversation. We usually don't have this, so it's great. Cheers.
Bye, guys.
Later, guys. That was Dutch. That was a good conversation. I enjoy those conversations every now and then. We don't have those a lot, but when we do, it's always a good conversation, especially to people that know what they're talking about, and they're not just going off off of what they hear on CNN or Fox News.
And also, guys, to add my input on that too. This is a show that we can openly talk about stuff like this in certain circumstances like you guys just saw. And you also get 3 different points of view.
Exactly.
And we're not sitting there just arguing.
And that's why I like doing those things with guests, especially with him, because he knows his information. He knows his.
Yeah, he's very intelligent.
He's very intelligent. So like when we have intelligent people that I at first was not going to do politics, but then I started wanting to more when I realized that we actually have an intelligent person on here, and it's not just propaganda. All they hear is propaganda.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it's hard to find people like that because either you can't find a lot of people that can just sit there and talk about stuff like this. And
correct.
Guys, for the ones that are still here that literally are like, dude, you guys don't talk about politics. Thank you, because this is content we don't do, but it's fun to do all the time. But me and Chase got a topic. We got a fat honky to talk about. So where do we even start? The Twitch drama, content drama, train wreck.
Oh my god.
We got train wreck. We got Pokemon. We got XQC. We have Hassan. I mean, we can keep going of how many people we just talk about of what this drama is of this, just literally this week, bro. This week. So let's get it started. Man, I sent Chase some of these links in. I was like, "Yo, bro, this is what we're gonna talk about. This is so just listen to these things if you don't mind." And honestly, Twitch is on fire, bro. It's burning. It's crashing. It's going down. And,
100%.
And when I say that is because they did a good move at first. The biggest move they did, in my eyes, was taking away gambling. And I can't wait to have this conversation with Chase because like he has his own opinion about it, and I want to hear his opinion too. But with like when gambling first hit of being banned off Twitch, people fucking went crazy. Like there's people literally grasping for straws, like justifying the gambling addiction. Like there's people that are part of the gambling world and they act like they're not upset, like, you know, Trainwreck, one of those, you know, Trainwreck, XQC, those two main guys right there literally act like they're not upset, but go on for hours for justifying how it's okay to gamble. And
yes,
I'm not saying gambling's bad. I don't agree with gambling. You know, I'm not going to go to the casino and go gamble. I don't care for gambling. Yes, I've partaked in it before, but it is bad. It's an addiction. You know what I mean? It you know, it's same as, you know, same as any addiction. It's bad. You know, it can get out of control. But what really doesn't set with me, and why I think that Twitch did a good thing, is because it's so easily accessible for a 5-year-old to walk into that gambling stream and hear, dude, I just won $100,000. I just won $1 million. But how much money did you actually spend? How much money did you actually lose before you won that? You know, they could come into the right time and they go, wait, I can win $1 million on this shit? And they have a code where I can get $20 off, $20 if I use their code for my first gamble. Shit, I don't even have to have money. I don't even have to have an account. I don't even have to have a bank account. All I gotta have is to sign up and a code, put the code in, I get $20 fucking dollars. Let's fucking go. Now let me try to gamble. $20 gone, and guess what? Now you're trying to be just like XQC, Trainwreck, you know, and stuff like that. So I think, me personally, it was a strong move against Twitch because there's too many kids watching these streamers that are big, right?
Yep.
Before they did gambling. And then when they went to gambling, they kept with their same stream, they kept with their same channel, and they were giving the same audience different content that was not good for them. And so
right.
It's for me, when we talk about gambling and
to an extent with the gambling, right?
Uh-huh.
I do not, and I mean do not agree with gambling online of any sorts. Reason being, you have to utilize your credit card. As we've seen over the continental U.S. and worldwide, it is not that hard to hack into credit cards. Right. You can get your entire bank account drained because you went into an online poker match and ended up getting just absolutely fucking tarnished with your credit card being maxed out. Right? Now, this is where I disagree with you. Right. I believe if people want to gamble in real life, like I'm looking at, you know, a dealer at a table, you can't pay card to gamble in a casino. You have to pay with cash money. You see what I mean? So, and the casino ain't gonna let no 8-year-old in there.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no, yeah.
I mean, you gotta be 21, baby.
Exactly.
So, I mean, the thing is I don't have a problem with gambling.
Right.
Because gambling, and I disagree to an extent. I will say this, to an extent. I don't believe it's an addiction. I think the problem is that I gamble a lot whenever I go to a state that is legal for gambling. Right.
Right.
But I will walk into a casino with $60, right? Uh-huh. Or just say 100. We'll just use even numbers today.
Right. Exactly.
Right? And if I win,
addictive. Like I'm not addicted to gambling. Like I haven't gambled in about a few months now. I mean, in a while, right? But time they get that lucky win, and then they think that they can get that lucky win every time. So that
But-
100 grand,
but-
say that 1,000 they just won off of 100. They're like, shit. Let me see if I can go more. Right. Then they get more. They keep on a winning streak. They go home, honey. I just made 50 grand on fucking the sots. We're good for a year. We're great. Tomorrow you wake up. Wait, can I make more? You know what I mean? So like every addiction out there. You know,
but that's the thing. That comes down to per $1 million.
right.
Could I retire realistically? Yeah, because I'm smart enough to how to manage my money. I would start making almost $800,000 a year off of just the interest in my savings account.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Could I retire? Absolutely. Would
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Would I retire at 40? Yeah,
Fuck
because
yeah.
at that point I can pay for my